Finally, the virtual power shop is here, guys. Are you feeling stuck, insecure, or maybe second-guessing some choices in life? Visit thevirtualpowershop.com to enroll in your 22-module course. It's self-paced and available on your terms. What's your well-being worth? Act now for a limited-time offer. It's half off the regular $299 price. Your personalized journey is available for only $149. Step into a brighter, empowered future. Thevirtualpowershop.com. Get unstuck. I'm Alma Lee. I'm a psychotherapist and transformative lifestyle resiliency coach and author, and I want to help you reach your goals by teaching you how to step outside of those fear-based mindsets and into your powerful, loving self. Let's get started. Let's get into it. It's been a couple of weeks. I apologize. I've been absent. I actually did some traveling to Alabama, went and spent some much needed time, some respite with some old friends, and made some new ones. So let's get into it today. Self-love. Self-love. Do you love yourself? Do you really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure you're not just engaging in some habits that are positive, but in the reality of it, underneath the surface on a subconscious level, you hold yourself in contempt? Yeah. You know that's what we do over here, right? On this podcast, is that we dig in hard and fast. Or at least I do anyway. Self-love. Self-love is critical. And I want to talk about 3 reasons why it is so imperative that you love yourself. Number 1, everything about your mental health depends upon your attitude of yourself. So for instance, if you are not loving yourself, then what's happening most likely is you are dependent upon other people to validate who you are. If you don't love yourself, then you are requiring your loved ones, your friends, your family to show up and show you what you're worth. It makes you incredibly vulnerable to narcissistic abuse and manipulative tactics from the people that are around you. Am I hitting home with this one? Does this touch on something that you're familiar with? Yeah, stick around. I got a couple of doozies here to share with you on this one. I took some notes. I was thinking about what did I want to talk about in this podcast today, and it all just kind of came to me because this seems to be a theme. It seems to be epidemic that people are showing up and they're not showing up for themselves. You'll bend over backwards for somebody else before you'll do it for yourself. Does that sound like you? I mean, I know I've been there, right? So 3 reasons. Number 1, your well-being, your mental well-being is dependent upon you loving yourself. You have to show up for you. When you show up for you, then it's like a vitamin. It's a preventative on making you vulnerable to the attacks and the judgments for other people. And it creates within you, it fills your cup, so to speak, so that you aren't dependent upon other people to do it for you. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with other people's validation. It's just that you should not live your life in existing in a space of needing it. Do you see the difference? You shouldn't go through life expecting other people to constantly shore you up and reassure you on who you are. You should be doing that for yourself. So that's the first one. So the second reason why it's so important is if you don't believe that you are deserving of loving yourself, then you're not going to be able to manifest anything positive in your life. I'm not saying that you won't have anything good, but overall, the quality of your level of enjoyment in life is going to be limited to the degree of how you see yourself. Let me explain a little bit further. We manifest everything. Everything in our life is what we manifest. We draw in that what we are. So if you do not believe that you are deserving of love and you're not loving yourself, then everything that you experience in life is going to match that level of vibrational energy. You follow? So if you don't believe that you're deserving of getting that job, well, you're probably not going to get it. If you don't believe that you're deserving of being loved fully in a partnership with someone, then you're going to tolerate something less than that because you don't believe you deserve better. And if you're not loving yourself, you're not going to believe it anyway. This is all interconnected. So you're not going to bring in all of your hopes and dreams if you don't believe that you deserve them. If you're not loving yourself through that, if you're not showing up for yourself, it's not going to come true because you're expecting someone else to show up for you. Now, when's the last time you showed up for somebody that you knew they didn't love themselves and you wish that they would? Put the shoe on the other foot. Yeah, right? You ever done that? You ever had a relationship with somebody, friend or a family member, that they were not loving themselves and you saw what a wonderful person they were and you just wish that they would see within themselves what you see within them? Are you doing that? Are you showing up that way in your relationships with others? So yeah, you're not going to manifest anything positive if you're not loving yourself into that vibrational space. We manifest our entire world. I'm a firm believer that I can manifest anything. And everything that I'm moving through in my life it's a correlation to how I see myself. So I love me. Now, that doesn't mean that I think I'm perfect. I'm not. All humans are fallible, myself included. But I am awesome, and so are you. There's nothing different about me than you. Is the simple fact that I might be a little further along in the game of knowing how I'm supposed to be treating myself and loving myself fully, showing up for myself, because it keeps me from getting into these connections with individuals that are not on my vibrational level. Not to say that I'm better than them, but if they're not on my level, it prevents me from expending my precious energy in those connections, from being depleted. Do you see how that works? So when you elevate your sense of self, when you elevate into a space of self-love, your vibration will raise itself naturally. It will automatically become higher and lighter. And that is the type of energy that you will draw into your life. Your life will reflect everything that you believe about yourself. And if you don't believe that you're deserving of love and you're not loving yourself, then you're not going to pull that in. So that's the second reason. The third, people are watching. That's it. The third reason why it's so important for you to be in a space of self-love is because people are watching. Do you have children? Ask yourself this question. If you do, when you look at your children, do you want your children to talk to themselves the way that you talk to yourself? Yeah. What do you say about yourself? What's the dirty little language that you've got going on? What's the nasty little dialogue you've got going on in your head that you might not share with other people? And the way you see yourself, you look in the mirror and you judge yourself and you're self-deprecating. Do you want your children to learn that language by watching you? Do you want to connect with other people who treat themselves the same way you treat yourself? Why not? I mean, if it's okay for you to do it, why not do that? I mean, why not connect with people, or why not, encourage your children to act the same way you do? Yeah. Am I touching a nerve? Am I reaching you? Maybe that's a better question. You got to stop that. It's unnecessary. It's irrelevant. You might not even know how you got there. I mean, maybe you've got an unhealed trauma. But for the most part, most of us, even those of us who don't have significant childhood trauma, we're programmed. We're programmed by culture. We're programmed by patriarchy, by church, by society, by our families, our friend groups, to tell us that it's not. You're not supposed to do that. Don't. That's arrogant. That's egotistical, right? Does it sound familiar? Yeah, I know. Let me get my notes here. So, that's three reasons why it's so important. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, okay, Alma, I got it, right? You reached in and you smacked me in the face while I'm listening to this podcast. And now, you've given me this revelation. I'm going to get my words right. You've given me this revelation of self, but what do I do with it? How am I supposed to change? Well, here's 4 questions that you need to ask yourself to determine whether or not you're actually loving yourself, right? And this is a great barometer that you can use just as a catalyst for change, to do better for yourself, because nobody else is going to do for you what you can do for you. Number 1, look around. What are you tolerating in your life? What are you tolerating? What kind of bullshit are you putting up with? And the thing is, to ask that question, it's not necessarily just what you're tolerating from other people. It could be what you're tolerating from yourself. So Are you waking up hating yourself? Are you waking up saying that you are at some sort of perceived point of deprivation in life where you are choosing to be negative? And I've worked with people that have been in that headspace. And let me tell you something. I don't play around with that energy. Number one, it's bullshit. If you're here and you have a beating heart and you've got air in your lungs, you have purpose and you have worth, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. Do some of us have more of an advantage in life as far as the way we look, our ability to be mobile, things like that? Of course. It's not a fair game, but that doesn't demean you, and it doesn't erode your value or your worthiness, and it certainly doesn't take anything away from your having a purpose in this life. You got a job to do. Do you know that? And in order for you to accomplish your role as a human being here on this planet, in this incarnation right now, is that you recognize your worth and to know that you are an absolute powerful being. And you got to start acting like it. You got to stop with the bullshit if you are engaging in that negative self-talk. That has to stop. You've got to stop doing that. So what are you tolerating? Are you tolerating the negativity from other people? Are you tolerating being someone's scapegoat, being thrown under the bus, if you will, on a regular basis, maybe in your marriage, maybe at work? Maybe you feel like you don't deserve to do anything better for yourself. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And you are the one, you're the catalyst, you're ground zero when it comes to change. You're the one that has to decide that you're over it, you're done with it, you're not putting up with it anymore. That you're going to actively engage in the purpose seeking of your life, and you're going to stop tolerating all this substandard behavior, whether it's from other people or it's within yourself. So ask yourself that first question. What are you tolerating? Are you abusing drugs, alcohol? Are you being apathetic toward your health? Are you not treating yourself with loving kindness and respect? These are some questions that's what you're tolerating. Okay? So keep that in mind. Number 2, when you make a mistake, are you more harsh with yourself than you would be if someone else made the same mistake? Think about that one for a minute. Now, I can say that I've done that. And all of this is intentional. All of these actions have to be from a space of intentionality. So you have to recognize what you're doing first in order to make changes. And then when you make those changes, you can't be even more self-deprecating in recognition of the mistake because it's a loop. But you just have to say, look, I recognize that this is what I'm doing. I need to stop doing this because I choose better for myself. I'm just going to do better. I screwed up, not because you're a screw up, but because you're human. All humans are fallible. We all make mistakes. Be accountable, clean up your messes, love yourself, forgive, and move on. You get to live this life to the degree of your choosing. How wonderful do you want to make your life? It all starts with you, my friend. It all starts with a shift of perspective. Everything is about your thoughts. Sadhguru says, your thoughts are the root of all of your suffering and all of your joy. Everything is about what's going on in between your ears. It's everything. It's literally everything. You think it's outside of yourself, but it's not. It's not. It's your attitude, your perspective, and where you place your energy and your value. If you're like, well, Alma, these people are going to judge me if I do that. Well, that's because you care about whether or not they judge you. So you can stop caring. You can literally flip it like a light switch. You can just stop caring. Other people's opinions don't matter, and they're none of your business anyway. Number 3, you think that it's wrong to love yourself. It feels weird. Well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about programming, and that's patriarchal, religious, cultural, society, family, friend group. That's all program. That's all put in place in order to control your mindset so that it makes you more amenable to, moving through life at the, this gets into more of the spiritual woo-woo stuff, but it makes you more malleable. It makes you more controllable when you don't think for yourself and when you adapt and adopt other mindsets without stopping and thinking, you know what, I don't want to feel this way. You actually don't have to. That's a program. So if you feel like it's wrong or it's arrogant to love yourself, I would encourage a practice of intuitive practice, an intuitive meditative practice, to lean into what your higher consciousness is telling you to do, because we all have that. In fact, that's the strongest form of communication that we have, and it's the one that is most likely to be pushed aside because it's not part of your meat suit. What's your gut tell you? That's pretty much what I was saying, is what does your gut tell you to do? Does your gut say that loving yourself is wrong? Or is that society programming you saying that it's wrong? Do you really believe that it's arrogant to love yourself? Or do you think that acting in a space of self-love is acting in a space of love of humanity? Because you're a part of humanity. Don't you love other people? Don't you think you deserve to love yourself? It's not conceited. It's not arrogant. It's required. It's necessary. When you love yourself, you hold yourself to higher standards. You move through life in a healthier fashion. Other people benefit from that too. It spills over into your relationships. You can't control it. Other people may judge you, for sure. They may say, oh, well, she's full of herself or he's full of himself these days. That's okay, because you acting in a space of self-love is shining a light on the parts of themselves that they are not ready to change, because you're showing them what they need to be doing too, and they're not ready to do it. So it's easier to project upon you a sense of judgment than it is to turn that energy inward and say, maybe I should be doing the same thing. Right? So, number 4, questions to ask yourself. Are you afraid of that judgment? Do you sit in a space of fear of what would happen if you were to start loving yourself? Think about it. If you were to flip that switch of saying, you know what, no more of the self-deprecation, no more of the self-hatred, from now on, I'm going to love myself. Does that feel terrifying to you? I think for a lot of people who do that, who ask that question, feel like the judgment that they would receive from other people is too heavy of a burden to carry, because you have spent the majority, if not all of your life, dependent upon the validation of other people. You've been depending upon other people to tell you what you're worth, because you've never turned that energy inward. You've never stood in your own power. And so, yeah, that makes sense to me. It makes sense that it would be terrifying. It makes sense that changing on a dime your mindset about yourself and loving yourself would be terrifying, because, again, going back to what I was saying a moment ago about other people judging you, it's isolating. You will absolutely be left behind by people who no longer want to have anything to do with you, because it's easier to walk away from you than it is for them to change and to connect with you and to say, oh, wow, you're really embarking on this journey. It's a filter. You're absolutely, not everybody's going to leave you. There are people around you that actually really want you to evolve and to elevate into your higher vibration, for sure. But you will lose some people, and it will surprise you, some of the people that will leave you. And I'm not even going to joke around about this. It is deeply hurtful and painful to see with clarity who's really there for you and who's really ready to work with you and stay connected, versus who's willing to walk away from you because they're simply not ready to stay with you on that journey. But the thing is that you have to realize that it's not about them, and it's not about your connection with the other people, because honestly, you really have to start at the root, and that's the love of self, because everything about how you see yourself is the interconnection that you have with others anyway. It's all connected. You have to do this work. If you're going to evolve in life and actually be empowered in life, you have to love yourself. You have to accept yourself as you are right here and now, flaws and all. See, and I can get into this, and I'll probably do another part to this maybe next week. You're standing in front of a mirror at any given time. If there's even a moment of contempt for that reflection, you need to really look at where that's rooted. It's unnecessary. It's hurtful. It holds you back. You're here. There's a reason that you're here. And if you feel like you're not as deserving of love as other people, why? Think about the logic in that. Why? What makes you so undeserving of self-love? What makes you less than other people? Is it your body? Is it your background? Is it your having money or no money? What is it? What makes you worth less than other people? What makes you less deserving of looking at how wonderful you are under the surface and actively engaging in a transformational mindset of self, just being actively present in the self and showing up and not tolerating any more bullshit from other people, especially not tolerating any more of your own bullshit. Everything about you, your mental health, your mental wellness, your resiliency is rooted in how you see yourself. Because if you don't believe that you are deserving of love, then your attitude will follow, your perception will follow, your perspectives will line up with that mindset. Everything that happens to you in life that's negative, it'll be colored by the framework of, well, that happens to me. People like me, I'm not deserving of good things, so that's why that bad thing happened to me. When in reality, that's just life. It's not because you're not deserving of good things. It's just shit happens, and it happens to all of us. You're no different. You're just like everybody else when it comes to deserving of self-love. And people who judge you, those are the people that really need to love themselves as well. Because one thing I do know for sure is that when you love yourself and you accept yourself, you don't have room to judge other people. Your mind doesn't go there. It can't. It's you have so much acceptance and love and worthiness built up already within yourself that when you see other people that are messing up in life, you observe it objectively. You don't judge it. You just recognize, hey, that person needs to heal. There's no judgment. There's just observation. So when you feel judged by other people, know that the reason that you're being judged or held in contempt for changing, for loving yourself, is because you're doing something that they are too fearful to do. And that's all it is. And all you really need to do is just move on, understand that that's where they're at, and don't allow their contempt or judgment to affect how you see yourself. That's how important this work is. It's really that easy too. It's like a light switch. And I think the realization that a lot of us do have is that it's the fear of being alone. It's the fear of being abandoned by people that show up in your life and do so because it's convenient that you don't love yourself, because your lack of self-love makes it easier. It creates within them a job so they can control the relationship with you because they're giving you validation. You see, it's all connected. You're deserving of it. You're deserving of showing up for yourself. You're deserving of being okay with who you are. You're deserving of being accountable. Alma, I can't love myself. I'm a terrible person. I've made these horrible mistakes in life. Okay, clean up your mess. What do you need to do to move forward? What messes have you made? How egregious have your mistakes been? Well, I did this. Okay, start small. Talk, communicate, journal, meditate. Get in touch with yourself. It's not for the faint of heart, this work, but it's absolutely necessary. And your joy, the space of love that you're seeking in life, is just on the other side of jumping into that fear. You have to stare it down. You have to move through it. And you got to love yourself throughout. All right. This has been a Lee Bird Media production. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.